And how did you approach portraying such a human side of history without it becoming like a typical war story?
I wanted to focus on is civilians who have to sort of deal with the consequences of that. And that's where my heart and soul was, with people having to deal with the situation which is surrounding them.
And what was it like working with this particular cast?
Well, it was great working with Saiorse. She started acting when she was 9 years old. And therefore, with Elliot, the actor who plays George, obviously he was 9 years old when we started the film. So she took him under her wing.
Hello, Steve. It's wonderful seeing you today. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Congratulations for such an incredible movie. I really enjoy watching Blitz. And you're known for blending the personal with the historical in your films. And I want to know, with Blitz, which is obviously set during one of the most difficult times in London, what was the emotional core of the story for you? Why was now the right moment to tell?
Well, the emotional core was love, really. Love between the mother and her son, and that link, that bond, and the fact that, 800,000 children were evacuated out of London. In total, 1.25 million people were evacuated, and that kind of connection. And I thought it was important to talk about this particular point in history right now, because in the UK, identity is very much linked with, the Blitz spirit in the Second World War. So to do that, I wanted to refocus people's gaze through a child's eyes and see war as it was.
And how did you approach portraying such a human side of history without it becoming like a typical war story?
Because I wanted to, again, there are these men who basically, dictate to us or create wars. So what I wanted to focus on is civilians who have to sort of deal with the consequences of that. I felt that to be very, very important because, again, it's not a movie about some guys in somewhere in France killing each other. Who kills more wins. It's about people who have to deal with the consequences of war, the civilians. And that's where my heart and soul was, with people having to deal with the situation which is surrounding them, similar to, unfortunately, how people are living today.
And what was it like working with this particular cast, with Saiorse, with Benjamin, and how did you guide them through such a raw and emotionally narrative?
Well, it was great working with Saiorse. What's great about Saiorse is that, she's one of the best actors of her generation, of course, and she started acting when she was 9 years old. And therefore, with Elliot, the actor who plays George, obviously he was 9 years old when we started the film. So she took him under her wing. And that relationship, that bond was so beautiful, so infectious. That's what you see on screen, because they really did love each other.
Totally.
With Paul Weller, who was a musician mainly, of course. We all know Paul with the Jam and Star Council. I thought he would be amazing as their grandfather. And having that bond of all three of them was the core of the film. And yeah, it was beautiful.
What do you hope people, audience, would take away from this film in terms of how do we relate to each other in, let's say, in a time of crisis?
Well, I just hope that, listen, I made this film because I have hope. I made this film because if we just stop a minute and see what we're doing, like I said, we're seeing this picture through this child's eyes. Hopefully we come to our senses and get to a point where we can, understand that killing someone in any circumstance, any situation, war or no war, is wrong. And therefore we could sort of move on and sort of somehow stop what's happening, what's going on around us. It's very important for us to come to our senses and also understand that, war is just nothing but sort of absurd.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, and thank you for having time to talk with me this morning.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much.